AI is becoming a practical accelerator across the life sciences. That promise is real. But the headline that matters for everyone else is simpler. When capability, access, and automation all move faster, do the safeguards around them move just as fast? This episode keeps the focus on governance and prevention, not biological methods. In a few minutes, you will have a plain language control loop for evaluating AI systems used around sensitive scientific work. We will use a fictional, offline decision lab with synthetic proposal cards, no lab procedures, no biological instructions, no real data, and no connection to an external system. Recent reporting on AI and biosecurity highlights attention. AI can help researchers work faster, while experts also warn about misuse and costly mistakes if systems are deployed without sufficient screening and review. The important operational point is that a model is only one part of the risk picture. Connections, permissions, autonomy, and oversight decide what that capability can become in practice. Start with 3 questions. What kinds of questions can the system handle? What information, tools, or workflows can it reach? And who must approve a consequential next step? A capable assistant with narrow, monitored access can be managed very differently from a system that can move through a workflow on its own. Governance needs to evaluate that whole chain, not just the chat window. Here is our safe local lab. The Harborline Review Sandbox receives fictional request cards such as literature summarization, data governance questions, and a vague high-risk request. The goal is not to answer the request. The goal is to classify it, limit the system to an approved scope, and route anything sensitive to designated human reviewers. Nothing in this simulation uses a real laboratory, real biological material, real account, or external service. The sandbox runs a simple control loop. First, intake and scope. Is the requested use allowed, and what is the minimum data and access needed? Second, specialist review when a risk signal appears. Third, a bounded result under clear policy. Fourth, an auditable record of the decision. Finally, a defined escalation and stop path. This is a governance diagram, not a scientific workflow. Its purpose is to make the safety decision legible before a system is allowed to act. Sensitive AI uses should have named owners. Define the criteria that trigger review, identify the independent expertise needed, and make approvals specific and time-bound. If a request changes materially, it returns to review instead of quietly inheriting an old approval. This approach helps teams preserve beneficial work while creating a reliable boundary around higher consequence decisions. The governance question extends beyond one team's prompt policy. It includes the model supplier, deployment path, integrations, and release decisions. Before a system is broadly available, evaluate the intended use, define access policy, test the controls, and plan how signals will be monitored and escalated. Once capability is widely distributed, correcting course can become much harder. That is why review has to happen before, not after, the connection is made. Before approving connected AI in a sensitive setting, ask 4 questions. What capabilities and integrations are actually in scope? Who can approve, pause, or revoke access? How are risk signals reviewed and escalated? And what evidence is retained for accountability? The strongest programs do not treat safety as a final checkbox. They build it into the operating model. Follow CipherVibe for practical security governance that helps teams move quickly without losing control.